Okay. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today with University of Fraser Valley, Derek. He's the recruitment manager for the university. And thank you very much for your time being here with us today, supporting our webinar with our partner agents. My name is Ivy, and I'm the regional marketing manager with US Education. And we are very grateful that you spent some time with us this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are, to listening to some key points, selling point for University of Fraser Valley, and as well as the programs update and the scholarship. So at the end of this presentation, we will leave some time for the Q&A. And if you have any question during Derek's presentation as well, please type it in the Q&A box or the chat box, and then we'll get back to you at the end of the session today. So I just want to highlight some key selling points that I noticed from my point of view for University of Fraser Valley. It's the public university, and it's covering the over 100 programs for master degree, bachelor degree, and also the vocational training program as well. And it's located in the east of Vancouver. And I see that I've never been to Vancouver before. I only been to Toronto, but the scenery in Vancouver is stunning. Very, yeah, you can see at the back of Derek's background. Yeah, very beautiful in the fall, or like fall seasons across the year. And they have full campus in BC, Abbotsford, Chilliwack, Mission, and Hope. Very nice name. Yeah. So the scholarship is available, and I gotta say that it's quite generous to each national student with high achieving results. But of course, it's first come, first serve. And the tuition fee and the living cost is very affordable as well. And I'm sure that Derek has many to share in his presentation. So without further ado, I will pass on the spotlight to Derek. Thank you very much, Derek.
You're very well, and thank you very much for that very warm introduction and setting it all up. First off, again, hi, hello, everybody. Good morning to you all, or good afternoon. And for myself, where I am, good evening, as it is nighttime for myself yesterday out here in Vancouver. But yeah, as I said, my name is Derek Wardhall, and I am the Regional Manager for International Student Recruitment at the University of the Fraser Valley. Pardon me. And I am very happy to be able to show you a little bit about my university. And when I say my university, I actually mean that because I am a former student from this university. So I am an alumni. I actually graduated with my bachelor's of business administration, majoring in human resource management. That was a little while ago, a couple of years ago that I did that. But I love the school so much, transitioned right into a full-time staff position and haven't left the university since then as well. So very happy to be able to share what I can for you. So yeah, I got about a 45-minute presentation for you to be able to run through that. And then after that, of course, I would love to answer any questions you have. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them away in that Q&A box, in that chat section there. And I'll be happy to get to those at the end of the presentation for you. With that, let me share my screen for you, bring this up, and we can get started. All right, before we get into too much details, let me run through kind of a quick introduction for the university. As you heard, we are a public post-secondary institution located just outside of Vancouver. And I'll give you a little bit of a geography lesson on my next two slides. So if you're not exactly sure where that is in Canada, because we're big, my next two slides will give you a little bit of a geography lesson. But the term public post-secondary has a lot of weight. It means a lot here in Canada. We are very heavily regulated by the government, which mandates our quality of education. So we actually have to have very strict levels of quality of education across all of our programs. But more importantly for all of our students, what the public means, public part of post-secondary, is post-graduation work permits. As a public post-secondary, all of our programs do qualify for post-graduation work permits if students are interested in staying in Canada to work and potentially immigrate after they leave. We're a medium-sized school, so we have roughly about 14,000 students and about 2,000 international students from 80 plus different countries around the world. We also really focus on smaller class sizes, more one-on-one faculty support, which really allows for applied career-focused education. So you'll notice on the screen there, our average class size is only 25 students per class, and our biggest, the absolute biggest class size we have is only 36 students per class. So we really want to make sure that our students get as much time, care, and attention directly from the faculty members as we can. You'll also notice in the top corner, QS. QS is an Australian organization. They've rated us a 4 out of 5 star school, but we've also ranked 5 out of 5 stars for the employability of our students after they've graduated and for our quality of instruction. I'll talk a little bit more about those as we move on. But next, I promised you a geography lesson. So here we are. This is Canada. As I said, it's really big, what we have here. Ivy mentioned visiting Toronto. For those of you who are familiar with Toronto, that is in the province of Ontario, which is located kind of in this general area here, which I'm indicating. Now, where we are outside of Vancouver is way over here in the province of British Columbia on the far south and far west coast of British Columbia. So if I zoom in a little bit more, I can give you some more detail. So as you heard, our main campus locations, Abbotsford, Chilliwack, Mission, Hope. Out of all of these, 99.9% of all of our students will call Abbotsford home. That's where primarily all of our programs are located. That's where our campus residence building is located as well. That is where people are. And so that would be this dot right here. And so we are located just a 1 hour drive east of Vancouver. So this is fantastic for our students. They're a little bit outside of the main city, so they get some true authentic Canadian culture. They have better cost of living, higher value for cost of living, but we're only an hour away. So they're still close enough. If they want to get into Vancouver, they can go shopping, sightseeing, get in downtown, have the big city life. You know, if they're coming from a big city and that's what they're used to, they can still have access to that really closely. Another benefit about where we are is our proximity to the United States. You can see this giant dark shaded area here. That's the US. Our campus, and I'm not joking, our campus is literally a 30-minute walk to the United States border. That is how close we are to the United States. So if our students want to pop down on their free time, weekends, do some cool trips, they can really experience the best of both Canada and the US while they study with us. A little bit more about the city of Abbotsford, just very quickly, because this is where your students would primarily call home. Even though we're not Vancouver or Toronto, one of the major cities, we're still a big city. You know, we're the 5th largest city in our area. So we have movie theaters, malls, other shopping centers, restaurants, bars, cafes, activities to do outdoors, everything a major city would have, we still have here too. We're just a little smaller, so there's a lot more open space. We're also a very diverse city. We're constantly rated one of the most diverse cities in Canada. 33% of all of our residents, that's 1 out of every 3 people who live here in Abbotsford, consider themselves of a visible minority, someone of non-white descent as they come through here. So living in Abbotsford just has this fun, active, vibrant community of people who all live, work, and study within Abbotsford. Now, one question I get a lot is, how do students get around? You know, once they come here and they get set up, you know, what is the mode of transportation for them to get around town? Well, that's public transit. And I'm very happy to say that we offer students a free bus pass on the city transit system when they are here. So that way, all they need to do is show their student ID card and they can use the public transit system for free. Also, one of the best ways to get around to campus is just to live on campus. So I quickly mentioned that we do have an on-campus residence building. This is it. This is Baker House. Every student who lives on campus gets their own private bedroom. They don't have to share a bedroom. They just have to share an apartment suite with one other person. So you can see on the screen on the top corner there, we have kind of the apartment layout, 2 private bedrooms, and then there's a kitchen and then a little bathroom with a stand-up shower. That is every single one of our suites. Everything is laid out the exact same. So students can actually do all of their own cooking in the building. They don't have to buy a meal plan if they don't want to. That is optional. But as I've learned over the years, there are a lot of students who do not know how to cook. And so they want to buy the meal plan. So yes, they can get the meal plan if they want to. We have lots of different food options for students. The meal plan is an additional cost, as you can see on the screen there. And I'll talk a little bit more about costs and fees for accommodations on a later slide when I get to tuition and living expenses and all that as well. All right, but moving on. Let's talk about programs. So you heard that we have master's, bachelor's, vocational diplomas, but out of all that, I will say that we are primarily an undergraduate institution. So out of our 100+ programs, I would say 97% of them are at the undergraduate level. Either 2-year diploma or 4-year bachelor's degree is what we mostly offer. So my first couple slides will focus on undergraduate education. And then my very last program slide will have all of our graduate programs, our master's and post-degree certificates and diplomas as well. So to start off, let's talk about our undergraduate degrees in business, my former program. This is what I took. So our School of Business, we have a 2-year business administration option or a 4-year degree. Students in the 4-year degree have a chance to choose one of the majors that you see on the screen here: marketing, finance, accounting, HR, international business, those there as well. Great thing about our program for business is that the first 2 years are all general business, and then it's the final 2 years that they major. So students don't have to know exactly what major they want to choose right at the beginning. They have 2 years to try them all out, to see which ones they like. And then going into year 3, that's when they specialize and choose their program that way. Our business program is also at this university. We are one of only 4 universities in our area to have an internationally accredited business program. Other than the top 3 kind of universities around here, which are UBC, SFU, and UVic, we are the only school to have an internationally accredited business program recognized by EMFD. So we're very proud of that accomplishment. Also, quickly, I'll talk about internships or co-ops, as you probably heard. Our business program has one of the best co-op options. So if students are looking for paid internships, paid work experience while they're doing their program, business has that covered, no problem. Moving on, we have our applied sciences. This would be our Bachelor of Science. And in the Bachelor of Science, we have areas of biology, chemistry, physics, computer science, geography, and math and stats. Then we have a separate agricultural science program that focuses on horticulture. And then we have kinesiology, sports science, for those who are interested in rehabilitation or personal training coaching in those areas. Now with this, I mentioned earlier that we are an applied career-focused university. I'm also very proud to say that we have one of the most laboratory-intensive programs in British Columbia. Our students in our science programs get hands-on laboratory work right from their first week on campus. Every single one of our science courses, students are going to be in class at least twice a week. Once to have a lecture and once to have their laboratory experiments. So every single week, they go lecture, lab, lecture, lab, lecture, lab. So they're constantly getting to see how the theory they learn is tied into the practical experience of what they would be doing day to day for their career. Also, this program does have co-op, so if students are interested in that, they can do there. Last thing I'll mention is that each of those programs you see on the screen, most of them going into the 3rd year, students can actually do more concentrations. And what I mean by more concentrations is, for instance, in computer science, we have concentrations or options to do areas of artificial intelligence, data mining, cybersecurity, or programming in programming languages. Biology, for instance, we have areas of pre-medicine, pre-veterinary, genetics, and ecology. So there's a lot more specialization students can do within each of those programs. Moving on, we have our social sciences and humanities. This would be under the Bachelor of Arts program or the 2-year liberal arts diploma. Here, this would be programs like our psychology, sociology, economics, criminal justice, and lots more. I can't list every single program that's on there because there's about 17, 18 different program options you can do under the Bachelor of Arts. If one of your students is looking for a flexible program or a program that allows you to combine disciplines, Bachelor of Arts is a great thing to do. In the Bachelor of Arts, students could do a psychology major with a science minor or a biology minor. They could do an economics major with a business minor. There are a lot of different ways to mix and match programs within the arts. Also proud to say that this program also qualifies for co-op. We are one of the few schools in the area that actually allow our liberal arts students to do co-op and have access to that paid internship programs as well. So awesome opportunities for our liberal arts students to gain valuable work experience. Next, we have a program that I am really, really bad at doing, but I love talking about this. This is one of my favorite programs to talk about. It's the creative arts. As I mentioned, there's a reason I did business and not art, but it's fantastic. And where we are in Vancouver, you might not know this, but one of our biggest industries we have in Vancouver is the creative arts. We have the second largest film, television, and game production industry in North America outside of Hollywood. So students who are interested in getting into graphic design, media arts, visual arts, there's a lot of different opportunities for career options right now within the Vancouver area. Before I move on from this, I will just mention all of these programs do require a portfolio. So students are required to submit some artwork as an assessment for their admissions into this program as well. So they do need to submit that. But lots of great opportunities for students within the graphic, digital design, and media arts realm. I will also say that over the course of this pandemic, I have never seen more applications for graphic design and media arts in my life. I don't know what's going on during the pandemic. Maybe people are just bored, stuck at home, and they've been drawing a lot, and they think they're really good at art now. But I have seen so many new applications for graphic design. It's fantastic. Our department's really excited about what's going on there right now. Last program slide for undergraduate courses. This would be under professional studies. So here we would have things like computer science. This is IT. So you'll notice we do separate IT from computer science. They are separate programs. Below that, we have aviation. And when I say aviation, this is actually pilot training. So if you have a student who's interested in becoming a commercial airline pilot, we can help with that as well. And then finally, below aviation, those are all of our human services programs. So things like social work, early childhood education, community support worker, and et cetera, those programs. Finally, moving on, we have our graduate programs. So these are the master's and grad programs we have. And this is it. This is every single one of our graduate programs. So we have a master's of social work, criminology, of educational leadership. Then we have probably our most popular grad program, which is a data analysis post-degree certificate. This is an 18-month program with paid co-op attached to it as well. And then below that, we have a migration and citizenship program, either certificate and diploma. Those are it. Those are all of our grad programs. Everything else that I just showed you prior to this was all at the undergraduate level from those areas. Now, moving on to entrance requirements. Now, for our entrance requirements for all of our programs, we split this up into two ways. We have the English requirement, and then we have the program requirement. So the English requirement for every single one of our programs, every program, diploma, bachelor's degree, master's degree, can be satisfied with an IELTS score of 6.5 with no band less than 6. Now, of course, we accept other English tests as well. We accept Duolingo, we accept TOEFL, Cambridge exams, Pearson's, Kale, lots of different English exams that we accept. I'm just using IELTS here as an example. Now, I'll talk a little bit more on another slide about potential pathway options and upgrading options for ESL and EAP in a second. Now, other than the English requirement, we then have the program requirement. What high school courses do students need in order to be able to get into our bachelor's programs? Primarily, we will be looking at their top 3 or 4 academic courses. We won't be looking at every single one of their courses in their transcript. And normally we need around a 7 to a 7.5 out of 10 score on average is what we would need for admission. So this is around a 70 to 75% average as we go through there too. Now, as you're from all around Southeast Asia, I know each nation kind of has their own curriculums, and sometimes there's multiple curriculums within each area as well. So just so you know, we are very, very used to working with multiple curriculums in every country that we work with as well. So we have everything for the conversions of scores and transcripts and everything like that that we need for each country as well. You'll notice for our business program, we do require math. So if you have some students who do not have mathematics, but they would like to do business, we would have to potentially start them off in a different program and then slide them over to business after that. Now this slide, if you want access to this presentation, I'm going to send this presentation to Ivy once we're done. If you like a copy of this, feel free, she can send it out. Then you can have all these links. These links will send you to places on our websites where you can see all the English requirements. You can find all the academic requirements. If you have students who are already in university and they want to do transfer credit, yes, we do transfer credit. This will talk about how we do that all at the same way too. So if you like access to that, email Ivy and then she can get you a copy and send that for you as well. So you can have access to all of this information. Probably should have said that at the beginning of this presentation, but now you know. You can absolutely have access to this copy as soon as I'm done. Now, one thing I want to mention just quickly about English requirements is there are some times where we can waive IELTS. There's very specific circumstances, but if a student is either studying here in Canada, studying in the US, or potentially already studying in high school in Australia, if they have the equivalent of grade 12 Canadian English with a score of C+ or higher, we do not need an IELTS. Or if they're doing an IB diploma and they have IB English A, we do not need an IELTS test. Or if they're doing AP English, we do not need an IELTS. Or I should say Cambridge, if they do a Cambridge AS or A level English test, we do not need an IELTS as well. But all other students in schools, we would need IELTS. Now, I mentioned pathway, upgrading, ESL, EAP. We do offer that for our students as long as they're doing a non-competitive program. When I say non-competitive program, those would be our massive open intake program thing. So competitive programs would be things like our graphic design and fine arts, because there's a portfolio that needs to be assessed. That would be a competitive program. So we couldn't do upgrading for those. But any of our sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, all of those, business, Bachelor of Arts with psychology, economics, all of those, no problem. We can do some English upgrading. Right now, the lowest score that we can accept for entry into the EAP is an IELTS score of 5.5. So right now, 5.5 is the lowest that we can accept to help with English upgrading. At the score of 5.5, this would be 2 semesters of English upgrading. If they had a score of 6.0 on IELTS, that would be 1 semester of upgrading as they would go through there too. Now, if a student applies to us and they don't meet their entrance requirements, so for instance, if they're applying for business and they don't have math, as I mentioned, we will always try to do an alternative program choice for the student or find some way to get them to their goal program. It's very rare we just say, no, sorry, you're not admissible. We'll say, okay, maybe you're not admissible to this program, but you are admissible to this, this, and this can help you get to where you're going. So we always try to help our students, help our partners get to where they're going. Dates and deadlines. So we are a tri-semester system. So we have 3 intakes. We have September, which is the main intake. We have January, which is the current program, or current intake we're accepting applications for right now. Then we have summer, the May start. So you can see the application periods on there. So as I mentioned, right now we're accepting applications for January. We've actually extended our deadline till October 1st. So right now we're accepting applications for January up until October 1st. And then on October 1st, we'll close January and open up applications for May 2022 and September 2022 as well. We'll go from there. Tuition deadline, students do need to pay at least 1 semester tuition deposit in order to get their LOA. And those tuition deadlines you can see on the screen. You can also see a little thing about scholarship deadline. You heard we have scholarships, so I will talk about those, but not just yet. You have to wait. I'll get to those though, and talk about those really quickly. So how do you apply? How do you go through this whole process? Well, obviously, first and foremost, choose a program and let's check the requirements. And then after that, go through Yes Education. They are our main partners that you can go through to be able to make sure your application gets in. Once the application goes through and you get your offer letter, students would then need to pay the deposit and send us their official documents. And then once we have the deposit and official documents, that is when we can release the LOA, the letter of acceptance, and students can apply for their study permits. Now with that, study permits, let's talk about that for a second. As you may know, with the pandemic and things being in lockdown in a lot of countries, it's been slower to get certain elements for the study permits in that way too. So I always recommend that if a student can get their application in as soon as possible, it'll just help with that. I mean, we can sometimes give, within 2 to 4 weeks, we can give an offer letter for some students, but it might take 2 to 5 months, 4 months to get a visa right now with everything that's going on. So the sooner that students get stuff in for their visa, the better it'll be for them as well. Now, what do we need at the time of application? So when you are applying for your student or helping to apply for them, there are certain documents you'll need to submit at the time of application. For the application, you'll need to submit the English language test score, copy of their passport, copy of their high school transcript, and proof of graduation if they have graduated, and then any post-secondary transcripts if they're currently or have attended post-secondary education as well. Now, we do need all of these documents submitted together before we do a review. If you submit an application and you're missing the English language test score, the application will just kind of sit there and wait until all the documents come in. Now, obviously, if you have students who are currently in grade 12 or currently finishing their final year of high school, they won't have their final transcript and proof of graduation. That's okay. We can give conditional admissions using grade 10 and 11 transcripts and any interim grade 12 or final year transcript that they might have. So of course, current final year students, we don't require final transcript or proof of graduation at the time, but we will need those eventually. So costs and fees, how much does this all cost? Well, you heard earlier that we have a very affordable tuition rate. In fact, I'm very happy to say that we have one of the lowest tuition rates all across Canada for a university that we have here. Now, for a year of study, which would be 2 semesters, the tuition for all of our undergraduate programs costs just over 15,000 Canadian dollars is what we have there. If you add in all the ancillary fees, accommodation, everything like that, we tell students to budget around 30,000 Canadian dollars per year of study is what that is. Now, for the accommodation, you'll notice that's the on-campus residence. This is not mandatory. Students can absolutely find off-campus housing if they would like to. This is just here for budgeting. You'll notice the 2 semester payments for accommodation look kind of weird. One's bigger, one's smaller. That is just the way our housing department accepts payments. All students pay the biggest portion of their housing fee in the first semester, smaller portion in the second semester. But in total, it comes out to average about $6,000 for the 2 academic semesters, or roughly about 3,000 Canadian dollars per semester is what you can budget there for you too. And this tuition is the same for all programs: business, psychology, biology, graphic design, same cost for all programs. Also the same cost for EAP, English upgrading, all of that, same cost for tuition for every single one of our programs that we have. Now we're talking about scholarships. Here they are. Here are our scholarships that we have for our international students. So we actually doubled our top scholarship during the pandemic. While things were going on, we heard and we realized that our students are struggling, families are struggling. So we doubled our top scholarship. It was originally $10,000. We upped it to $20,000. So this would be a $20,000 total scholarship, which would be given out $5,000 per year of study over the course of a 4-year degree. So they get $5,000 every single year for that. Now, how these are awarded is these are academic scholarships. So this is 100% based off their high school transcripts or their post-secondary transcripts. Essentially what we do is, as you heard, they're first come, first serve. So as the applications come in, we gather them all up, then we start to rank them. And then we start at the very top of the GPA list, and we work our way down until we run out of money. is essentially what we do. It is literally based off GPA and their academic achievements as we go through there too. Now, with that said, there are additional scholarships students can apply for after they start their program. So in years 2, 3, or 4, there are additional scholarships. There's hundreds of different scholarships they can apply for, everywhere from $500 to an additional $5,000. Some of them are academic scholarships. Some of them are extracurricular scholarships. So once they do become students, they can apply for more scholarships after that as well. Now, moving on to just some extra services that we offer for our students. I mentioned at the beginning that QS rated us a perfect 5 out of 5-star school for employability. Well, that's because of all the hard work we put in at our Career Center. So we have a dedicated Career Center with staff who are here to help our students with a lot of different aspects. So I mentioned co-op. Co-op is run through our Career Center. So we have dedicated staff to be able to help students find co-op placements, find those internships. They help with resume writing coaching, cover letter writing coaching. We do interview skill training as well. We also have a digital job posting board for both on-campus and off-campus job search. So there's a lot of work that goes in to try to give our students as much opportunities to have high-level work experience before they graduate. Also, as a Canadian school, public post-secondary, all of our students are allowed to work part-time while they study as well. So students can work up to 20 hours a week during the school year and up to 40 hours a week during the summer break. So a lot of our students will help pay for their living costs and extra things by working part-time to supplement their earnings while they're going to school. And where we are in British Columbia, we have a really good minimum wage. So all employees in BC, the lowest hourly wage they would get is $15 per hour. That's our minimum wage. So it's easily enough to be able to cover their cost of living while they're here. Might not be enough to cover their cost of tuition, but they can absolutely cover costs like rent, food, have some fun, go out to clubs and bars and all that kind of stuff. As long as they're overage, they have to be a certain age, but they can easily use that for their earnings as they go through there too. And then, as I mentioned, all of our programs also qualify for post-graduation work permits. So we have an immigration consultant on staff at all times to be able to help and answer questions about any of those transitions and paperwork that they might need for that. Other services that we offer, honestly, as a former student, I think this is where we do the best work. I say this a lot and people think I'm just saying this because it's my job, but I really mean this as a former student. This is really a university that cares. Every one of our staff and faculty work so hard to make sure our students are taken care of. We have things like our Academic Success Center, which is free tutoring. So if students need help with their studies, they can go to the Academic Success Center and get as much help as they need. We have counselings. So we have free counseling and counselors on staff for students who might be struggling with their mental health. We also have something called our Peer Resource and Leadership Center. This is a student-to-student support center. So again, if students are struggling, want someone to talk to, maybe they're trying to come out as LGBTQ or something along those lines, they're having a rough time with that. We have dedicated staff for all of this kind of thing on campus to be able to help with that. We also have our Center for Accessibility Services. So if a student has a permanent or temporary disability or learning impairment that they might have, we can help them along those lines too. And of course, as an international student, we also want to make sure that they get acquainted with the city and where they are. So we have the best international orientation team here. They're the rah, 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 welcome to Canada team, who do a lot of fun games and events and activities like that to help them transition as they come in. And similar to the orientation team, coming to a Canadian university is not all about work and study. We want to make sure that they have some campus life and have some fun. So we have lots of different clubs and associations for students to do. We also have some varsity sports teams. So we actually play at the very highest level Canadian University Sports League. So we have 14 teams. We have a men's and women's basketball, volleyball, soccer, golf, wrestling, and rowing team. We also have a men's baseball team and a women's rugby sevens team. So lots of options for students to get involved with clubs or just come out and have some fun with the sporting activities. I also just quickly mentioned our orientation team, the rah, 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 welcome to UFE team. These are some of the programs they do. So we have things like Friends Without Borders, which is an intercultural friendship group. So we really want to make sure that students build connections and friendships from their first day on campus to help them with that. We have our en route program as well. That's off-campus events. So every month we'll rent buses and put some students on it, and then we'll go up to the local ski hills so they can see snow and go skiing or snowboarding. We'll go to downtown Vancouver during Christmas to go shopping and see the lights, and lots of other things that we do. So once a month, we like to try to take the students off campus so they can have some fun around the cities as well. This is going to be very quick, but if you have any students who want to travel more with their education, they can feel free to take part in any one of our institutional partnerships that we have around the world. So for instance, we have a partnership with, say, Nanyang Technical University in Singapore. So if a student wants to do a summer program there, they can do a summer program there, transfer those credits back to us, and then come back to the university for their regular program. But if they also want to go to Amsterdam or the UK or Mexico, wherever, we have partnerships with universities all across the world. And so our international students are more than welcome to take part in those if they would like. Very, very last slide I have for you here before I get to your questions. This is just a quick survey that we did from our alumni, people like myself who went to the school, asking them about their satisfaction. Were you happy? Would you recommend the school? Was it useful for you when you got into your career? And you can see we had some great scores. So this is absolutely a place where once our students leave, they leave happy and knowing that they just got a great education. So hopefully we'll be able to help you with your students, bring them in, and then they can be like me and be an alumni from the university. So with that is the end of the presentation, or the formal presentation anyway. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And if you have any questions, we can get to those now.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, Derek, for your amazing presentation. And I'm sure that a lot of us got a very, very good point of view for University of Fraser Valley. So I see that we have several questions popping up in the Q&A. So first question regarding to the portfolio. Is there any guideline for the student to follow up with?
Absolutely, yeah. No, we have a very detailed guideline for the portfolio. So if you have students interested in the graphic design, let us know and I can get you that guideline. It outlines step by step by step by step everything you need.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hope that answered your question, anonymous attendee. Next question about the IELTS. So if the student is still preparing for IELTS, would University of Fraser Valley offer the conditional offer? Or
yeah, good question. So unfortunately, no, we don't do conditional offers without the English. We do need all the documents submitted before they even do the review. So they won't actually review any of the documents until then. Now, so that's why I always recommend if the student's still waiting on IELTS, hold off putting in the application. The only time I would recommend putting in an application if they're waiting on the IELTS is if we're getting to the application deadline. Because once the application's in, even if it's missing an IELTS, we'll still, honor that application going through there as well too. But prior to that, yeah, I would recommend waiting until they have their IELTS before submitting an application. Oh, you're muted. Oh, Ivy, you're on mute right now. I don't know if you...
Sorry, I was kicked out of the internet again. So sorry about that. So I have several questions before like everyone getting in, turning more for more questions.
Sure.
So you mentioned about the collateral disciplinaries. So let's say like Bachelor of Arts, they can also study like another perhaps like major or program as well. So how long in the total time would that take? And also like the co-op is available as well. So the co-op, would that be related to the main or the let's say like the arts program, or it can be any co-op that related to the arts and the combined disciplinary?
Yeah, great question. So I'll start with the combination. So let's say someone, as I mentioned, does a psychology major with a biology minor, and that they're combining things that way. As long as it's a major and a minor combo, that will still just take the 4 years. All of the degree programs in that Bachelor of Arts are designed to do one major, one minor combined in the 4 years. Now, if a student wants to do a double major, so a major in psychology and a major in economics or something combined together, that would take a little more time, just because there's extra courses they would have to do a double major. So instead of doing 4 years, it might be 4.5 years or something along those lines. The good news is, if students want to do that, always recommend talk to an academic advisor, plan that out. Because we have 3 semesters, they can catch up a lot of time. So normally some students would use the summer to do co-op, or just take some time off, work that way too. But if they really want to study more and use that summer as a study semester rather than a break or a working semester, they can catch up that time as well. Now, in terms of co-op would potentially replace a study semester. So if a student doesn't do co-op over the summer when they have a normal break, if they do it, say, over fall or the winter semester, they would have to retake that semester or make up that semester. So potentially co-op could extend a study program as they go through there. It just when they take their co-op as they go through there too.
I see. So so I know that for myself, when I took the co-op term, there's still some tuition fee. So would you mind to share a little bit about the tuition fee for the co-op term? To our
Yeah, sure. It's super cheap. It's $1,200.
Great. Yeah. So
and it's a paid internship, so they'll probably make that very first paycheck.
Yes, absolutely.
Is what they'll get.
Good thing. Yeah. So you mentioned that the minimum IELTS that UFB accept is IELTS 5.5. So from your experience, is there any visa difficulties that the agent might face?
Great question. So from my experience, potentially, students who have direct entry into an academic program, so full IELTS 6.5, 6, they have a higher success rate for visa than those students who need a little bit of academic upgrading. It's not that drastic, it's not a huge difference, but it's a difference that I've noticed. I can't control that. That's the government who does those things as well. But yes, I do notice a difference between those students who have direct entry versus those students who do AP. I also noticed in the chat, there's a question about the IELTS 5.5 and what if someone has below that? We can't accept students into the university with anything less than 5.5, but we do work with language schools. So we work with schools like ILAC, ILSC, ELS Canada, those type of schools as well. So student is below IELTS 5.5, or they haven't taken a test because they know they can't get an IELTS 5.5 no matter what. I would recommend using one of our English language pathway partners, such as ILAC. And then when you apply for your visa, you can apply using the ILAC entrance program, the ILAC acceptance letter, and a UFE conditional offer for that as you go through. So that way, as long as we're seeing that you're in process doing ILAC, we can do a conditional offer for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like the package offer, so pretty much similar to Australia as well. So thank you for answering that question. I have 4 more questions while everyone is perhaps waiting for recapping some information that they want to ask. So about the Bachelor of Business, you mentioned about math. So for Vietnam, the student, do they have to meet like a certain GPA in math? Because math is
it's mandatory. Vietnam is one of the easier countries I work with because math is mandatory. They do it.
Right.
For business, it would be a 7.0 and above is what they would need in math. There.
Yeah. So 70%. Let's say.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, next question about IELTS. So pretty much as you mentioned before, do you guys have the placement test for students to take, right, during this time?
We don't have our own individual placement test. No, students an English test, but because of lockdowns and people not being able to get seats, we have started to accept Duolingo.
Duolingo, okay.
We accept Duolingo. That we would need to score 110 or higher to be able to do that. So if students would rather use Duolingo, take the test online from home, get your results in 48 hours, cool, we can do that. I know some students from Vietnam want to use the IELTS because they might apply for SDS, which is the specialized visa process. But if you're not applying for SDS, you're just applying for the regular visa, Duolingo is a great option.
Yeah, absolutely. So beside Duolingo, the IELTS indicator, would you accept that?
We do not know. We don't accept the IELTS indicator.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think you perhaps my internet was not good. Can you would you mind to say that again?
Oh, sure, yeah. So we don't accept the IELTS indicator. We only accept the IELTS kind of full test scores and package there. TOEFL does have an at-home test, so we will accept the TOEFL at-home test. But an IELTS indicator we can't accept, unfortunately.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, because we have a lot of agents that asking whether the student can take the IELTS indicator to.
Yeah, I get that question every day too.
Some uni accept, but some uni don't. Yeah, absolutely. So last question for me. This one actually, this one is never mind. I think we have another question from from Miss Nguyen. So relating to international students who are studying in high school in Canada, whether they want to waive IELTS.
I can see. I completely understand that. Yeah. So for the question is, if a student who does they're studying in Canada and they have grade 12, they could be in Canada for just 1 year and still take English 12 and have a C+ or higher, and we can waive IELTS. We do not
C+ higher. Okay.
C+ or higher. Yeah, we don't have a minimum year requirement. So I know some schools say that it'd have to be in Canada for 3 years or 4 years before they can do that. We don't have that requirement. They could be in Canada for 6 months, only take English 12 for some reason. I don't know. No one ever does that, but let's say they do. And all they have English 12 from a BC high school or an Ontario high school. We're good to go.
That's very flexible, I would have to say, because for Australia, they require at least 5 years of studying. Like I think 3 years in high school or like secondary school. So it's quite hard for the student to waive the IELTS, and so very flexible for
and the reason we do that is because English 12 with a C+ or higher is the same requirement our Canadian students need to meet. Like our Canadian students have English 12 with a C+ or higher. If they don't have that, they don't get into school. So as long as they can meet that requirement, which is the same as our Canadian students, that's good to go. It doesn't matter how long they study here.
Yeah. So hope that answered your question, Ms. Nguyen. Okay, I think that's pretty much it from me. I see that my colleague Bo is here. Not sure if you have any question for Derek.
Hello,
hi,
Derek. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Very good. I think it's all pretty much covered today. Really good presentation. Good to see good turnout here from our partners in Southeast Asia. There's certainly a lot of interest in Fraser Valley. Perhaps, we have had a few people ask more about the pathway programs recently as well. So some of them asked mainly if they did a pathway program, if they didn't have that right English, like you said, it does affect the visa perhaps a little bit, but is there anything more that they could do to strengthen that visa application? Are there any other supporting documents that you could recommend?
Yeah, so from talking to our immigration consultant here who does that, the biggest thing when you're applying, if you are going through the pathway partner, as we said, make sure it's that package application. So you have the pathway school acceptance letter and ours together as you sign in. And then the next big thing is actually the study plan. So it's that written letter or the written out plan that students put in that talk about their goals, why they're coming to Canada, the pathway they go through here. So it makes it really clear and understanding for the visa officer to see their study plan of what they're doing.
And do you like to see the study plan as well during the application, like before the student receives the offer letter? Do you also like to see that?
For me, no. For us in the university, admissions into our university has nothing to do with the study plan. We'll just base it off what we see in their grades and their scores and all that. But the visa, that's a whole other thing as they go through there. So we do also have an immigration consultant on staff. So he's here to be able to, if you don't have one available and you want someone to be able to answer some questions from that, he can do that. But yeah, the biggest thing we've seen to help build up a case for their visa is other than, financial documents and all that, put that aside, it's that study plan. The more details you can put into that study plan and your reasons for wanting to do here, the better it can be.
Very good. And I'm not sure if you covered the verification of documents. So students from Southeast Asia with their high school report, do they need to be mailed or it's fine to be scanned?
Oh, yeah, good question. So I think I missed that on this presentation. I did it on the last one, but I think I forgot to do it on this one. So for official documents, there's two ways we can accept official documents. We can accept either traditional physical mailed copies that are in a sealed envelope mailed to us, traditional, no problem. But yes, we will accept digital copies as long as that digital copy is emailed directly from the school to us. So it doesn't go from student to us or you guys.
Oh, yes, education. So from our side, we need to make sure that the official transcripts are coming from the university. From the high school.
Or the high school, or as long as it's come directly. And lately, because of COVID and all that kind of stuff, we've had many institutions around the world who had no problem. One of the high school counselors or them, they'll just send us a quick email and we'll do it that way. As long as we have that email, we can. Yeah,
it's got to come directly from the school. Yeah,
correct.
That's very important.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I think from my experience and also like how our admin team and the requirement of Australian institution as well. So I understand that some international school here, they have like very well organized system that they can send out like the report of student grades directly to the university. But there's a lot of like government school here, public school. They only have it as a kind of like a card. So very manual.
Big red book.
Yes. So I just want to ask whether or not the student can request like a scanned copy of the booklet of the score report, and then the school just need the school admin or administrator, they can just send that to directly to
that's totally okay as well. They can absolutely do it that way as well. Whatever copy comes in, whether it's a scanned copy from physical book, and then they send that, that's okay as well. For Vietnamese students, we've done before in the past, and hopefully we'll do that again coming up forward, is sometimes the final transcripts and grades don't get out until late August, sometimes middle of August, late August. What we've done in the past is allow them to bring that little book with them, and then we will verify on arrival at some points. But that's very certain circumstances. Obviously, if they get their final grades really late in August, which has happened before. I've seen that happen before. So there's ways around that too.
Yeah, I see. Totally. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it from us. Bo, no more question from you, right?
No, that's it. That's it. Very good.
That's good. Very insightful presentation from you, Derek.
Thank you very much.
And
thanks for staying up late.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, it's not too bad. This is only 8 o'clock. I did education fair on Monday that went from 2
I'm sure you want to squeeze the last moments. I'm sure you want to squeeze those last moments of summer you have.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, because I work tonight, I took a little bit of time off this morning, so I went golfing.
Very good.
Took advantage of that. So
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, I just remember the last question that I was trying. I lost my.
I'm curious what how golfing translated into you remembering a question. Now I'm really curious what this is going to be.
Yeah, because you mentioned about the minimum wage for student in BC. Is that all across BC, right?
Yeah, all across BC, $15 an hour. Yeah.
It's really interesting because for Ontario, the minimum wage is, I think, $13. Back in 2018 or 2019 when I was working in Toronto. So it's a pretty big, even $2 is already big.
Yeah, ours
you
was
multiply
around
by
13.
hours. Yeah.
About the 2018 time, ours was $13 an hour as well, but it just went up to $15 in 2020.
Oh wow, that's great! And during pandemic as well, that's really good effort that the government has put in. Yeah, so student can work and get paid a little bit more than in Ontario.
More reason to come to Vancouver. I always say West Coast, Best Coast, and there's a reason.
West Coast, Best Coast, absolutely, totally agree. Yeah. So I think that's it for today. And thank you very much for your time, everyone in our participants list today. So we will send out the PPT along with the recording afterwards, and so hopefully that we can have some students sent to University of Fraser Valley soon. Thank you very much, Derek, and stay safe. And we hope that once this pandemic is over, sometime soon. Yeah, so we hope to see you in person here in Vietnam.
Oh, I can't wait. I miss coming out to Vietnam. It's now been a year and a half since I've last been there. So I'm hoping kind of February 2022, I'll be able to get back onto a plane. So hopefully soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much, and take care and good evening.
Take care, everybody. And thank you all for joining as well. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.